Connecting to your desires. Some people feel that is selfish or self-righteous or greedy. Well, guess what? In today's episode, we are going to debunk all of that. And I'm going to give you a simple formula so that you can identify your desires and connect to them on a deep, deep level. Stay tuned. We all have situations, experiences, and moments in our life when we know deep at our core we have to do something different. We have to pivot. And regardless of how big or small that pivot is, it requires us to change something in our life. And that change can feel really uncomfortable. However, it is that change that is creating something entirely new. And it is that newness that creates a very different way of life in one area or multiple areas of our life. What's this all about? It is all about reinventing thyself. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I'd like to welcome you to Reinventing Thyself. I am so glad that you joined me today because it is here that we'll move beyond our old self, our old identity, and that trailer of garbage from the past that we like to pull into the future, but really need to ditch that hitch. It is here that we'll move into that place of reinvention and embracing the newness of it all. Are you ready to step into reinventing thyself? Because guess what? It is never too late, and your time is now. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to Reinventing Thyself podcast. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I am a life and leadership coach for women that want to move boldly and bravely through their new beginnings and beyond by following the process of reinventing thyself. Now, just know it doesn't have to be something big to reinvent yourself. We reinvent ourselves on a daily basis. So it is so important that we do the inner work that supports our reinvention process. And this episode today will certainly support you in that. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little bit behind on my recordings. There was 2 weeks here that I just was experiencing a lot of resistance. I was on vacation one of those weeks. I wasn't ahead before I left for vacation, but in the same respect, it was just relax into it. Accept the process, trust the process, and know that yes, you'll get back into the seat again when it's ready. And today is the day. Like, I feel ready. It's from a place of inspired action versus that force, that hustle that doesn't feel good to anybody. So my intention is to drop 2 quick episodes this week and 2 quick episodes next week so that I can get back on track with my schedule because I have a whole lot of episodes planned out for you. It was just that piece of what feels right, getting back in the seat to get it recorded. Now, as I mentioned, we are going to talk about connecting to your desires. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love to support women with because we have actually disconnected from ourselves over time. As women, as moms, if we have a career, different responsibilities, it's really easy for us to disconnect from our desires. So this episode will bring you some foundation to bring it back home for you. Now, for many people, they think having desires is self-righteous, it's self-serving, it's selfish, it's greedy. And I'm here to tell you that is false. That is a myth. Let's debunk that. Some people say, oh, there's so many problems in the world. Like, how could you have your own desire? Well, I want to ask you, when you go into that space, does that feel good to you? If you want to help solve some of the problems out there, you can't be in the space of it feeling bad. Because if it feels bad, you will never align with the feeling of good to help create something better. Now, an indicator that you should be tapping into your desires is when it doesn't feel good. So when you're looking at some kind of problem in your life or in a relationship or in your community or even worldwide, right? If it doesn't feel good to you, use that as an indicator that you should be tapping into your desire to create something that will support bringing goodness to these other problems or situations in your life. Now, when it feels good to you, when that desire feels good to you, it is an indicator that you are aligned. That alignment is there. And so many times we look at the good as being bad, and people have conditioned us to believe that, again, like it's self-righteous, it's selfish. That isn't it at all. The feeling of being good indicates you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and you should be aligned with that. Now, before I go in any deeper into that, I really want to talk about what is a desire, because in my opinion, I've put together 3 things that really mesh together to create that desire. And that first thing is a dream, right? So what are you seeking? What do you want? And for some people, it is like a cause. You want to support a cause. For some people, it's a thing that you want to bring into your life. Maybe it's more money, or maybe it's a car, or maybe it's a new home, whatever that is. But the dream just isn't enough. You have to bring in this second piece as well to fully land in that desire. So the second piece is all about the experience of it. So yes, you want this dream, but we need to think about the experience of what you are seeking by bringing that dream into reality. What are you seeking from that? And why are you seeking that? Really tap into that on a deep level, because it's there, right? So many times we get caught up in again, people think that desire is just about the dream of, having more money, or taking, going on different vacations and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's part of it, but why do we seek it? For me, a lot of times it's around the experience of bringing my family together, because family is such a big value of mine. Or perhaps it's around freedom. Freedom's just another value of mine. So when you can look at the experience from a place and bring your values into it, it really allows you to tap into why are you seeking that dream. That's the experience. Then the dream and the experience just isn't enough either. You have to bring in the third piece, which is connection. And connection is really in bringing into connecting to our deep purpose and passions. And when you can mesh those 3 together, the dream, the experience, and the connection, there you have a deep desire, a profound desire. There is no self-righteous in that. There is no selfishness in that. That is a true desire that deserves to come to fruition because of the alignment that you are creating, because it feels so good. So again, those 3 things, and we can look at it a different way as well. What is desire? The desire, when you are identifying desire, it's the what, it's the dream, it's the why, the experience, it's the who, it's the connection to you, your true self, your desires, your purpose. So when you can combine those 3 components, the dream, the experience, and the connection, the what, the why, and the who, what, the dream, why, the experience, who, the connection of who you really are, that is the desire. Now, I want to talk about desire in terms of what's the energy level that you are bringing this forward with? Because if you're trying to bring this desire forward, but you're coming from a hidden place, and sometimes you don't even realize it because it's so sneaky. If you're coming from a place of, I should do this, or you have some worry or guilt or shame, just know that there is no alignment there, and you will not bring forth your desires. If you come from this desire from a place of growth and inspiration and faith and trust and confidence and joy and gratitude, know that that desire will come. However, you have to release the time frame that it occurs in. And that can be really tricky because we want things to come microwave fast, right? And that isn't the case at all. We have to exude some patience with it. Now, one of the things that you can do to support this connection to your desires is really taking out a journal and writing down your desires, your intention of the desire, and then looking at those three parts: the dream, the experience, and the connection. Because getting that down on paper, believe it or not, is so very powerful. We have so much stored up in our head that sometimes it gets lost. So why not bring it some clarity to it by putting it down on paper? Once you have it down on paper, it's really important that you get ultra clear on where your focus is and you create some new awareness around that focus, because I can tell you from coaching a lot of people that it is all about, their focus is all about what they don't want. And it's so easy, like, I don't want this, I don't want this, this is happening to me, right? And while that what you don't want is important, because that allows you to see the contrast of what you do want, you have to shift your focus in what you do want. That means you can't be talking about what you don't want. You can't be complaining about what's happening in your life. Like, you always have to shift into that focus of what you do want. And you have to catch yourself when you start to retreat the other way. And I can tell you, it's ultra challenging. I still have challenges with that myself. I'm getting better every day in shifting my focus. However, it is challenging. You don't want to spend any extra time in that unwanted space, because you've created that clarity around your dream, your experience, and connection. Now let's stay focused on what we want. Now, one of the reasons why it is challenging, because we've been conditioned to believe that we need to look at what we don't want. But when looking at what we don't want is really focusing on the lack. And as I said before, like, that's just a low energy. We don't want that when we are reinventing thyself. Now, keep in mind that the Life Coaching Classroom also is a space where we are going to retrain our focus. And if you haven't signed up on the wait list for the Life Coaching Classroom, you're going to want to go to www.lifecoachingclassroom.com and get your name on the wait list, because I do promise we are going to be opening soon. We had just a few little quirky things going on, but those should be resolved shortly, and we will be opening the doors to that. So you're going to want to get on that wait list. Now, another thing that you can do when you are connecting to your desires is when you are in a space where the feelings don't feel good to you, when you're focusing on something or trying to go towards something, and it maybe you're taking an action and it doesn't feel right, it just is off, like, hit the pause button. Just hit the pause button and create some space for yourself, because your feelings are a strong GPS system. Whether you believe it or not, your feelings, not your mind, is the GPS system that you should be following. Again, like, we are conditioned to believe that the guilt, the worry, the shame are the quote unquote good feelings, right? They're not the good feelings. They're the quote unquote normalized feelings. And that is something that we have to shift away from as well. Yes, for majority of people, they're more comfortable in being in those low vibrational feelings. But that's just a conditioned belief that can be broken as well. You have to uncondition your mind and your body. So hitting that pause button allows you the space to look at those feelings. If you hit the pause button and you find yourself not feeling good, here are 2 questions that you can ask yourself. And questions are so powerful. Ask yourself a question with a piece of paper and a pen, boom, get some clarity. So that first question is, how is that feeling serving me? And secondly, how long do I want to stay here or stay in this feeling? Now, if you're not feeling good and you don't want to stay there, you want to move yourself up the emotional guidance scale. That makes sense. If you want to spend some time in the feeling that doesn't feel good, know that that is fine too, because you have a lot to learn in those comfortable feelings, right? And so there's so much to be learned there. You just have to decide how long you want to stay there, because like energy attracts like energy. So if you're feeling frustrated, or if you are feeling just some guilt around it, just know that whatever comes into your life is going to be a direct match to those feelings. So however long you want to stay there, that's perfect, but do it from a space of awareness rather than unawareness, okay? So let's say you made the decision, you know what, I don't want to stay there. Well, great. Let's start moving your feelings up the emotional guidance scale. Just know that you are not going to go from feeling like crap to feeling like joy in an instant. It doesn't work that way. It's moving up the ladder. It's moving up the steps of it. So reach for the next feeling that feels good to you. Okay, so if you're in a state of frustration, maybe the next step is just some gratitude. Okay, I was frustrated, but I'm feeling, some gratitude for what these feelings showed me, or I'm feeling some gratitude on what this experience has taught me. That will shift your energy. Okay, so and if you are looking for that scale, reach out to me. I can certainly share that scale with you as you move up. Now, as I mentioned, this episode is going to be short, but I want to wrap up. Before I wrap up, I want to talk about that third piece. Remember, I talked about dream, experience, and connection when you're looking at your desires. I really want to talk a little bit more about the connection of desire, because this piece, the connection to like who you are, that true deep self, it might be the most challenging of all three of those pieces, because we, over time, as I mentioned, have disconnected ourselves from our inner self. And again, that happens over time. It's neither good nor bad. However, if you want to use this desire in a way that serves you and your greater good at the highest level, you want to bring that piece of connection back to your true self in alignment. And again, feelings are a great way, a great indicator for that. If you're feeling lousy around the feeling that you're having, jump back and think about, okay, what thought am I having that's creating that feeling? Because thoughts create feelings that create actions that create results. So you can always go backwards and think about, what is that thought? Now, again, when you're looking at that connection to yourself, using the pause button is a great way to experience some of that inner work. And a question that you can ask yourself is, what do I need to learn from the feelings I'm experiencing? So if you're feeling just some guilt around this, or if you're feeling that this is selfish, you really want to look at, what do I need to learn from these feelings? And look at your feelings through a lens of compassion, right? This isn't about judgment. This isn't about, condemning yourself in any way. It's really looking at what you're experiencing through compassion. You can't do this just with the feelings that feel good. You also have to look at the feelings that don't feel so good. Take in the whole range, the good, the bad, the ugly. Look at all those feelings and ask yourself, what do I need to learn from the feelings I'm experiencing? Embrace them fully. Don't reject them. Don't judge them. Don't make someone else responsible for them. Your feelings are your feelings because you're choosing those feelings. Nobody else can or does have the power to give you a feeling. You still choose that feeling. Okay? I know that's challenging to accept, but feelings are 100% your responsibility. You get to choose how you want to feel. So again, that question is, what do you need to learn from the feelings that you're experiencing? Or ask yourself, what do I need to learn from the feelings I'm experiencing? How do you do all this? Well, you want to carve out some time in your day to do some of this inner work, to reflect on this, to go through that process of looking at dreams, experience, and connection, bringing that all together. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have time for that, I'm going to call you out on that, and I'm going to tell you, you know what? That's an excuse. That's a number one reason that you are not fully in the feelings, in the thoughts, and the desires that you truly want, because you are living into an excuse. And one of the reasons why you're saying I don't have time is really because there's a piece of accountability that you don't want to hold yourself to. And I know that that can be challenging to hear, but if that challenge is coming up, go through this process right now of, okay, what is that feeling I'm feeling? What is the thought I'm having that's creating that feeling? What is this feeling teaching me? There's a lot to unravel. There's a lot to pull back and look at and dive into. Now, if you're having all of this kind of swirl around your head and it feels like almost like it's disconnected and I don't know where to start, and yes, I could sit down, but I'm not going to hold myself accountable, I'm here to tell you that's exactly why you want to get and be a part of the Life Coaching Classroom, because we are going to hold you accountable there. We are going to support you in connecting with your desires. And it is going to be a powerful experience for you. So if your name is not on the wait list yet, you're going to want to head on over to www.lifecoachingclassroom.com, because that is where the magic's going to happen in that classroom. And I can't wait to open the doors and have you experience that. So, rather short episode, I guess, but very powerful, very impactful. Would love to hear what you're taking away from this. And also know that, perhaps you're just kind of new to all of this reinventing thyself concept and all the material that is coming forth through this podcast. Well, I do have a quiz on my website, and you can just go to michelleshutter.com and take that Reinventing Thyself quiz, because I guarantee you it's going to also provide you with some insight on where you are and where you want to go, and this whole process of reinventing and bringing that connection back to your true self. So my wish for you is that you move boldly and bravely through your new beginning and beyond, through this whole process of reinventing thyself. Until next time. Well, what are you waiting for? Whether you've pivoted and are unsure, or you're on the verge of pivoting, there is no better time than now for you to begin. Want to know why? Because if it wasn't the right time, the pivot wouldn't have shown up. And to get you started, I have got 3 shortcuts to reinventing thyself. Just head on over to www.reinventingthyself.com and you can download it there. And don't forget to message me with the shortcut that resonates with you the most. One last thing. I know you and I are not the only ones that have leaned into the pivot. Be sure to share this with others so they can be supported too. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting me in sharing this message. Until next time.